Hello, I'm Salvatore Bafumo. I'm enrolled in the European Legal Studies master's degree at the University of Turin, and I will give a general overview of what the transitional justice is. The transitional justice is defined as the response to a systematic or widespread violations of human rights. It seeks recognition for victims and promotion of possibilities for peace, reconciliation, and democracy. For the United Nations, in its 2004 report of the Security Council, the transitional justice is the full range of processes and mechanisms associated with a society's legacy of large-scale past abuses, in order to ensure accountability, serve justice, and achieve reconciliation. Therefore, the transitional justice is a critical component of the United Nations framework for strengthening the rule of law. There are three objectives that need to be pursued in the transitional justice, and they are the coexistence, forgiveness, and dignity. However, there isn't a defined strategy because the transitional justice is composed by four models, and we will analyze later. But each model takes time to be set up, developed, and in order to reach these objectives. Each model must include 5 elements that are justice, reparations, depurations, truth, and future guarantees. The justice is necessary to differentiate between victims and aggressors, because there may be institutional aggressors or non-institutional aggressors, like for example the non-state armed groups. Justice it's important also because it addresses issues such as the obedience and self-defense and so on. The second element, the reparations, are focused on victims, and there are many ways to deliver reparation. For example, restitution, compensation, that can be financial or symbolic, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition. The third element is depurations, and basically in the international criminal law system there are some crimes that are not possible to ask for pardon or amnesty. These crimes are the genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. The fourth element, the truth. It is a debt to the victims and a debt to the society. There are some formulas, like the institution of the Truth Commission, the legislation of historical memory, and the incorporation of the historical truth. The fifth element, the future guarantees, are, for example, like the dismantling of the criminal groups, institutional reforms, or monitoring the environment in order to avoid repetitions. In my view, it's important to specify that each element is interdependent on each other, and each of them must be pursued in the same way. Because, for example, if we don't differentiate between victims and aggressors, therefore we cannot focus on the reparation for the victims, or we cannot, for example, have future guarantees of dismantling the criminal groups or the guarantees of non-repetition. So it's important that each of the elements must be pursued in the same way. Now, moving on the transitional justice models, we can identify 4 models: the punitive or retributive, the truth and reconciliation, the forgiveness and oblivion, and the mixed model. The punitive or retributive, it was mainly used before the creation of the criminal justice system, and it was used in the international courts like Nuremberg, Tokyo, the ICTY, and the ICTR. There is no element of pacification typical of the transitional justice. The second model, the truth and reconciliation, is an alternative to the previous one, and this model hopes for the creation of truth commissions as a means of dignification of victims while trying to achieve social reconciliation. On one end, it seeks for forgiveness, and on the other end, the absolute guarantee of abandonment of the violent path. The third model, the forgiveness and oblivion, it is defined as the model of maximum impunity, and in general it is argued that this model will be impractical if the perpetrators of major crimes were identified. But in my opinion, this model can be used maybe for crimes related to committed by the child soldiers. Because if we think that child soldiers were indoctrinated and were obliged to committing the human rights related crimes, I think that this model can be useful and it can be taken into consideration. The last model is the mixed model, which combines punitive measures for serious crimes and social and economic and defense measures for the victims, but also combines the social insertion for the aggressors. Now, taking in consideration all the elements and speaking in a philosophical way, I think the mixed model is the best approach when we deal with the transitional justice, because I think it can be adapted to all the environments and all the post-conflict environments. So it can be useful and it guarantees also the punitive measures for the perpetrators, but also reconciliation and social insertions, and it guarantees the economic and defense measures for the victims. Because if we think that when a society shifts from a dictatorship to a democracy, we need also to take in consideration the social and economic factors. And as stated in the World Bank's 2011 report on conflict, security and development, the transitional justice is important to the economic growth and development. So, in conclusion, I think that transitional justice consists of both judicial and non-judicial processes. Whatever combination is chosen must be in conformity with the international legal standards and obligations. The victims must be recognized and rehabilitated. The aggressors must have a fair trial. And also, when we deal with transitional justice, we need to take in consideration also the economic and social factors in order to help the society to fully recover. Thank you.